Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. So today we're going to take a look at a 2022 Honda Civic LX. Huge shout out to Steve White Volkswagen for providing this vehicle for me today. They have a massive selection of pre-owned inventory. That link is down in the description. But the Civic that you see behind me is finished off in meteorite gray metallic, and they have a starting MSRP right around $22,000. And as we move on to what powers this Civic now, underneath the hood is the 2-liter inline 4-cylinder engine paired to the CVT transmission. This pumps out 158 horsepower and 138 pound-feet of torque. That power sent to the front wheels. This weighs in right around 2,800 pounds. It'll do 0 to 60 in just under 8 seconds with a top speed of 130 miles an hour. And it has a fuel capacity of 12.4 gallons. You'll expect to see around 31 miles per gallon in the city and 40 out on the highway. This has a wheelbase of 107.7 inches. Its overall length is 183.3. It has a width of 70.9 and a height of 55.7 inches. As we move on to the exterior styling now for this Civic, let's start off with the chrome Honda logo right in the middle. This has a pretty small upper grille to it, but plenty of cutouts to provide a lot of cooling to that engine, along with all the cutouts in the lower section. And I like all the contoured lines. They're very subtle. Coming off of the surround for that lower grille, they make their way to the base of the headlights on both sides. This even has sensors in the far corners on each side for some technology features, as well as having more of that plastic trim that runs along the lower section. Now these headlight housings are very sleek. I love the LED headlight design along with the turn signals and the DRLs. Very subtle. It kind of sinks in a little bit too with the curvature coming from the middle section of the grille. So it hides in nicely with all the bodywork surrounding it. And then there's a line coming down each side of the hood, meeting the top section of that bumper very nicely. So it gives it a sleek and nice design. Now, as we move on to the side, the LX is on the base level for the Civic. So this gets a set of 16-inch wheels. They have a nice design to them. These are hubcaps with the nice covers on them. This has body-colored side mirrors. There is no sunroof for this model. All of the window trim is chrome on the upper section, and then it's black in the lower section. Now, it has some really nice lines that run down the side. Very crisp line starts at the headlight, and it goes above the door handles all the way to the taillights. There's some nice designs in the lower section of the side skirt too, and it has a great proportion for the side design. And then as we make our way to the rear, there's a little bit of a bulge in this trunk. So you can see the bodywork extends all the way around to the taillights to give it a nice design. This has a backup camera with the LED taillights, and then there's some more plastic trim in the lower section just to break it up from the body colored section, which is right in the middle. So with the exterior wrapped up for the Civic, let's make our way to the cargo space. Now, surprisingly, there is no button on the actual car to get to the trunk. So you do have to hold the button on the key fob in order for it to release. And then from there, you can open it up the rest of the way. Pretty surprising to see that there is no button back there. But with this open, there is a lot of space. This would be a great daily driver with the amount of room that is offered. And then with the back seats folded down, obviously that gives you a lot more interior space for any items that you'd like to place in the back. And then also up underneath the floor, if I lift this up, this does have a spare along with all of those tools. You could use this for some hidden additional storage space if you need to. So this is a very practical sedan, especially for the size. There's no grab handle on the trunk lid, so you can just close it from the outside. Now, as we make our way to these back seats now, the door panel has a nice design to it. As you can tell, there's a two-tone with a slider tan and then cloth on the armrest. There is the window control along with a little bit of storage and one of the speakers, and then some matte black trim in the upper section just behind that release handle. So this interior is a great color contrast against the exterior with this cloth design. And at 5'10", I can make my way into the back. So I have the front seat set at my height. I actually have a lot of room for my feet and my legs. Now, being the base model, there's no air vents or controls in the middle. There's no storage pockets either. So if that's not something that you're interested in, this does not have that. But as far as headroom goes, for 5'10", I could easily be in the back of this. Like I said, this is a very practical sedan. You could have 5 people in here and they will fit very comfortably. Now, there's no armrest in the middle. And then looking at the visibility out of the back windows, there's a small window right there that does help with added visibility, especially from the driver's side. But now as we work our way to these front seats, the door panel's finished off just like the rear. However, there's the addition of all the window controls, side mirror adjustments, You can release the trunk from the door panel here, and there's a little bit more storage space in the lower section of that door. Now these front seats have a same design to them as well, and these are actual manual adjusting. So there's the bar up front to slide them forwards and backwards, as well as recline, incline, and a height adjustment too. And it's just as easy to hop into these front seats as it was into the back seats there. And then looking at the steering wheel, it has a nice design to it. There's piano black surrounding all of the trim. On this right side, you can see the cruise and adaptive cruise control settings with the distance pacing and the steering assist. On this left side, there's volume and tuning for the radio, as well as the Bluetooth controls. Let's fire this Civic up though. With my foot on the brake, that button is over on the right side, and we can bring this to life. And you'll see with this gauge cluster, on the right side is the miles per hour. On the left side is actually an LCD screen for the tach, miles per hour, what gear you're in. You can see the outside temperature, the time, as well as the odometer. And then using these dials over on the left side, we can scroll through this information. So currently it's showing range along with average fuel. I can scroll down to A and B to monitor both of those. And then if I click on the home icon, we can go to speed and time, so you can pull that up. Clicking on home again, we're back to this menu where you can pull up your driver attention, even monitor the seatbelt so you can see who's in the seat, who is buckled, and who is not buckled. There's maintenance, any safety that you need to go into, even all of these settings that you need to go into, so you can monitor all of this information as you need to, just depending on what you'd like to see. You can also customize the displays. And then we have no content, so if you don't want to see anything, you can have that there. Any warnings, and we're back to the range. So it's pretty configurable, not a lot of settings, but all the major settings that you need to see. And then over on the left side of the steering wheel, there's a dimmer switch. There's also traction control. And then this top button here is for the road departure mitigation, so you can monitor that, have that on or off. There's even more piano black surrounding one of the air vents. And then as we make our way to the middle now, we have this touchscreen system where you can go through a few icons. If I click on menu, you can go through all this general information just depending on what you like to set up. There's shortcuts to phone along with radio and media. You can even connect your phone if you need to. So there's not a whole lot of information, but it gives you what you need. Power and volume for the radio is on this left side, and then you have this other dial which you can use instead of using it as a touchscreen to go through all of that information. And then you'll see there are two air vents just underneath that. I like how that trim piece goes all the way to the passenger side just to connect it very nicely. And then there's the joysticks to control where you'd like the air to go. Now below that is all of the climate controls easily laid out. Fan speed is right in the middle. Temperature is on this left side. On this right side, you can adjust where you'd like the air to go. And there's a few other controls right in the middle. And then there's some auxiliaries down below, along with a little bit of storage, so you can place your phone or other items. There's a nice trim piece that surrounds two cup holders on this right side. On this left side is the shifter. Now, if I put this into reverse, this does have a backup camera, and it actually has a few different angles, just depending on what you'd like to see, and the guidelines too. So those are going to be extremely helpful. I can put this into drive. There's also sport mode and a low range mode if you need to use that. Just behind that is the economy mode, along with the engine start stop. There's also the electronic parking brake and the auto hold assist. Now the center armrest is finished off in cloth, and if I open this up, surprisingly, it's actually a pretty decent sized compartment with that small removable tray on the top. And then for this glove box, there's an ample amount of space for all the information that needs to go down there. We'll take one last look at this interior. And then up top, along with the rear view mirror, are the dome lights. As we set off now behind the wheel of this 2022 Honda Civic, honestly, this is a pretty basic car. Being the LX model, there wasn't a whole lot to show you as far as features go. And of course, you can go with higher trim levels just based on your budget and what you're looking for out of your daily driver. So if you're in the market just for a sedan, something that's going to get you from point A to point B, but it's also going to be very reliable, this Honda Civic is a great option because you can drive this as much as you want to. Hondas are pretty reliable and they can last a long time. So if you're not looking for all those bells and whistles, again, you just want something simple, you can hop in, you have some auxiliaries where you can put electronics and charge them. You can hook up your phone to this system and you really don't need much else. And you can also put in a lot of people, you can fold the back seat down if you need more storage. It's a really good option. There's not a whole lot as far as materials go for the interior on this model. We have some nice two-tone for the door panel, you know, some nice accents for the release handles, some nice mesh for all the air vents. But other than that, there's no leather or anything. There is some plastic on the dash, you know, it's on the upper part of the door panel. But for the price, for what you're getting, it's not bad. It's a good option. And again, something that is going to be very reliable. And I do like the fact that it has the Honda safety or the Honda sensing safety technology. So we have that mitigation system, which is basically the road detection and the departure system. You have the steering assist, even the adaptive cruise control with the lane keeping assist. Pretty awesome to see that for a vehicle like this, you have that option, especially at that price point. So the sensors are up front for that. But let's give it a mild acceleration, just in normal mode. And about half throttle, and we are now just getting up. So don't expect this to be a quick vehicle, but it can get up and move. It might be slightly underpowered, but if performance isn't something you're interested in and you just want to get something you can hop in and, you know, you have to give it a little bit of gas to get moving, it's perfectly fine for this type of vehicle again. Now, as far as visibility goes, because this is a daily driving vehicle, it's very, very open on this interior. You have a lot of glass, you have the backup camera too, and I like that there's a good amount of storage space where you can place items, at least for your front seat passengers. Now, it would be nice to see some additional storage for the rear passengers, like the pockets that go behind the seats. That's pretty much in every vehicle. For this price point, I would expect to see that. I don't think that would really cost much more. Maybe some air vents in the middle too, because if you're using this to haul people, you gotta have some climates for your backseat passengers. But again, maybe you're not using the back seats that often, but you need something that's practical, or that could be practical if you needed to use that space. And now as we switch over to the POV angle, you can see what it's like to be behind the wheel of this Civic. It's honestly a nice car. It's very comfortable, very quiet. So this would be an excellent daily. It feels pretty solid for the price point and the entry level for the Civic. Now, you could actually double the price of the Civic if you went all the way up to the Civic Type R. So that's about a $20,000 difference between this and the highest level for the Civic. So it's definitely nice to see that you do have a range, again, depending on your budget, what you're looking to get out of the car, the performance that you need, if that's something that you're interested in. But for this base level, it is nice. Hopefully you can tell that it is quiet to drive. It takes these turns as you would expect, going at a normal rate of speed. And we'll give it another quick acceleration. We'll go into the S setting. And I'm not sure that really did anything, maybe a little bit more throttle response. But I think that's gonna wrap it up for this 2022 Honda Civic LX. Once again, a huge shout out to Steve White Volkswagen for providing this vehicle for me today. Check out their website, that link is down in the description. And if you enjoyed today's video, give it a huge thumbs up. Consider smashing that subscribe button so you don't miss out on our daily uploads. I will see you all in the next video.